Right, what have we got today? Right, quite a nice one today. We've got the Lumintop now. I previously looked at the Lumintop Tool AA V2 and I was very impressed. I didn't know a lot about Lumintop, but I loved it. The build was beautiful, so almost like sort of all-light level of build, really solid feeling. So I'm looking forward to looking at this. Now this is the GT Mini. Now understand that this isn't the full GT, which is the Giga Thrower or Giggle Thrower, however you want to refer to it, which is a massive unit. So this is the mini version, and when they say mini, it really is scaled down. So it's not some behemoth like the main one. So standard box, Lumintop there, and this one should be neutral white. Now I prefer a neutral tint. It's more like sunlight, and I prefer it. It makes me smile, but there's no correct answer. You can also get a cool white. If you prefer that, that's fine. There's no, like I say, avoid these people who say you have to get a neutral white, you have to get, well, it's personal preference really, so it doesn't really affect the output. So let's get that off to one side and let's see what you get in the box. So it's the Lumintop GT Mini, and this is an 18650 light. So, oh, nice. So let's see what the build's like. It feels pretty good. So I'll put that to one side just for a second though, because I want to see what else you actually get in the box. So stuff there. That looks like a lanyard. Yeah. Right, what's this? This is warning burn hazard. Yeah, okay, fair enough. That's just all they're saying there is they're saying, look, the LEDs, as efficient as they are, they still waste energy by producing heat. Thus, there is a risk. So put that to one side. Let's see what else you get here. Right, a couple of free O-rings, excellent. It's becoming standard now to give you free O-rings. O-rings go between two machined parts, and on this you're going to have a threaded machined part here, which you can see moves here, and also here. So the reason why it's got two threaded parts rather than just one is you can change this for a shorter tube should you wish, whereas I'm not that bothered. I like an 18650. So that's what the O-ring's for. The O-ring, if I can get it to focus there, yeah, you can just see it on the left there. The O-ring is a piece of rubber which goes around and it ensures water tightness, but it will go over water protection levels and what have you. But it's nice to see you get two free ones because they can become threaded and stripped and all sorts of things. So pop that to one side. What else do you get? Right, you get a lanyard. I don't use lanyards. I'm a bit of a bushcrafty guy, so if it's not in use, it's back in the holster or it's back in my pocket. I never leave things lying around. So, and when it comes to hands-free, I just stick it back in the pocket. Okay, that feels pretty solid. And you've got a cinch here, which is adjustable, and this bit, yeah, okay. Now I normally like to give these a bit of a pull. Oh, and there's another separator. Actually, I like this design. Watch, that comes off. So what you can do is you can attach this to a bag or a part of your jacket or some molly webbing, and then you can clip this on and off. So okay, that's actually a decent lanyard. I like that design, and it feels pretty solid. It's not quite up to all-light standards, but it's there. Okay, what else are you getting in the box? So a user manual. Is there anything else here? No, right, get rid of the box. Let's get on with this. So the user manual, I'm presuming, is going to be pretty big. Yes. Now I'm going to memorize this quickly. So there it is in English and English again. Now I'll cover this later, but this is the really advanced stuff. So I'm going to try and keep this a simple review because I've never claimed to be and I never will. I'm certainly not an expert. So let's go over the actual unit here. So it's an 18650 light. Now here's an 18650. Here they're the pretty big cells. You get a nice runtime from them. Although this doesn't look like it, this is an ODB wrap. Now I wonder if that's ODB the wrestler. Yeah. Probably not. But under here is a Samsung 30Q, which is one of my favourite, and it's a flat top there. So I'll be using that because you get a nice draw current from that. So I'll put that on one side. And now you can get it. I want to go over what the specifics of this are before we start turning it on. So the maximum output you're going to get from this is around 1200 lumens, which is absolutely fantastic. And bearing in mind it's what's known as a thrower, it's going to throw pretty good. I mean, if you go on the Lumintop website, they make claims of being able to throw, the throw range, in other words, how far you're able to send the light out, about 750 meters. I'll do some beam shots to check on those facts, but yeah, that's probably true, but I mean, you know, we'll go over that. Now this is an IP68. Now what does IP68 mean? IP just stands for ingress protection. In other words, stopping the elements getting in. So the first figure, so IP6, just relates to dust. So it's going to stop dust getting in because there's no entry points, there's no USB charging, daft flaps or anything like that. It's screwed tight. So IP6, that's what that stands for. And the 8 stands for the fact that this is waterproof. Now it's not water resistant, it's waterproof, but only up to a point. So 8 refers to, you can put this in up to 2 meters of water. So you've got that pressure of the water pushing down, trying to get in, and you give that a couple of hours, you're still gonna not have water going in. I like that. I'm a massive fan of lights that have IPX8. The reason is, if you're camping and you drop this in water or heavy rain, you're not having to worry thinking, well, is it going to be all right? You're not worrying about that. And that's why I go mad at a lot of these companies with the USB flaps where it ruins the water protection. I mean, there are ways around that. Here's the hiker light, and I've talked about this before. Their USB recharging port is behind a threaded section. You know, it's not that difficult, so manufacturers can do that, and yet this is able to retain its IPX8 rating. So same on this. So the emitter, in other words, where the light's coming from, this is the LED. It's the XBL High LED from Cree. Cree's a decent manufacturer, no problems with Cree, and the high designation stands for high intensity. So pretty good stats. So let's get this open and let's see what the threads are like. I'll try only looking at one thread at a time. So very smooth, very little noise, so well designed, well machined, although they have put a little bit of lubricant on here. Nice to see, sort of square. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now that's interesting. Double springs. So can you see there's an outer spring, and then right in the middle there's another one. So excellent work. You're not going to, even on high drain, you're not going to get sag and things like that. So we'll get the battery in anyway. So pop it in, plus to the top, just like most flashlights. Although for some reason Olight seem to put them the other way around. I've never really understood why, but there you go. So that goes in. Now when this goes in, I'm pretty sure it should flash. So if you look at the button there. So that flashes and that flashes. Right. First feature. So as you can see, the button itself has a backlight feature. Now they claim that so you can find it in the dark. Problem is, if it's facing away, you can't find it in the dark. So I find that of limited use, but it's nice to see. It's more of a gimmick though. So on off is pretty simple. So on and off, dead simple. Can't get any simpler than that. So there's your button. Now to actually change the output, so if I turn it on, it uses a ramping interface. So unlike something like a BLF A6 SE here, you turn it on, and then to change levels, you half press the button. So can you see how that's, so I'm half pressing the button rather than a full press, which would turn it off. So how does it work on this? So here we are running. A ramping UI ramps it up or it ramps it down. So we're on the lowest level there. So if I hold the button, it ramps up, ramps up, ramps up, and there's a little flicker there. Now it's almost imperceptible and the camera may not pick that up, but that takes you up, and then to ramp down you just press it again. There. You see there's a little flicker. You may not see that, but I'll check. So ramping up all the way to maximum, flicker, there you go, that's maximum. So that's extremely bright, and I can feel the heat from here even at this distance. So up and down, dead easy. Now in reverse ramp, you just press it again. So that takes you back down. Now if you want a turbo, so let's say we're running, double click. So, oh, didn't work. Right, we'll try again. Oh, strange. Okay, so turn on and then double click. There you go, sorry. So a little bit finicky there. I'll turn that off and try again. I want to make sure that's not an issue with the light. So you turn it on, then double click. Maybe I think what I'm doing is I'm double clicking too fast. So once you turn on and that flash stops now. No, strange. Maybe I'm not fast enough. So there you go. Maybe I was too fast actually. So let's try that slower. So yeah, that's me then. So that's not a manufacturer's issue. I'm too fast of a clicker. I must play too many games online. So turn that on, then double click. But oh, strange. There you go, got it eventually. So I don't know what the hell's going on there. I might have to send an email off to Lumintop about that. I may be at fault though, I'm certainly willing to accept that. So let's try that again. So when it's running, double click. Okay, maybe it's me, maybe I've got a defective thumb, but that does seem to be working. Okay, so that's your instant turbo. That just saves you having to ramp up and ramp down and all that malarkey. So the next mode is strobe. Now it's a bit of a bloody nightmare, I'm going to be honest. Most torches is like a triple click and you get the strobe and then you can cycle through the modes. Not that simple on this one. To get to it, you have to go into turbo and then you have to double click it again. Then when you're in that mode, you have to quickly single press to go through the modes, because if you don't do it and you give it a gap of 1.2 seconds, I think it is off the top of my head, you're stuck in that mode until you turn it off again, if that makes sense. So let's go to turbo. There's turbo, press it again. Right, we're in strobe. Now I'm going to cover that because it annoys people. Now, because I've waited 1.2 seconds, I'm now stuck in that strobe mode. But if you quickly, once entering strobe mode, before 1.2 seconds elapses, if you single click, you can progress through the modes. So there's like an SOS and a beacon. Now, I'm not going to go into all of that in this review because my reviews are getting ridiculously long as it is. I'm sure this one's going to head for half an hour plus. But I have explained that, and then turn off again. Okay, so that's your turbo and your strobes. Now there is a battery check function as well. Now battery check is triple click, which I would have had battery check 1 up, and I would have had strobe triple click, but okay, never mind. That's how they've chosen to do it. So 1, 2, 3, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, then there's a pause. That's it. Okay, so what's happening there? So it's giving you a visual depiction of the battery level. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 flashes means 4 volts. Now, I don't think that battery's full. If it was, you'd get 4 and then you'd get 2 other flashes, meaning 4.2. So I don't really like that level. I prefer ones that flash it out as a percentage. But okay, it's not the end of the world. That's how they've chosen to do it, and it's nice to have a battery check function, and it keeps flashing that out. So stop. Okay, so nice to have that. Now you also have electronic lockout. I'm a big fan of electronic lockout, as you know, and the whole reason being is if you're out camping or you're out with the lads on an operation and something's in your pocket. This probably wouldn't be in my main pocket because of the size of it, but if it was, you don't want that accidentally going on. That's why I'm a big fan of tail clickers. They can't go on, well, they can, you know, theoretically, but in general, nothing's going to press that. They've got to be clicked in to activate, so you're less likely to accidentally turn them on. But with a side clicker, you could argue that things can press against them more easily and it would go on. So electronic lockout is 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you get some little flashes. Now, can't turn that on. Even if I hold the button down, it isn't going to go on. So to turn that back off, 1, 2, 3, 4. There, a few little flashes and you're back in normal operation. So electronic lockout, I'm a big fan of. It saves you accidentally putting that on, then you get to camp and oh dear, I want to go for a pee and the battery's flat. Isn't that nice? So you can avoid it with that. Now you also have a momentary mode, which kind of turns it into like the tactical modes you get on the O-lights and things like that. So to do that is 5 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A few little flashes. Now it's on momentary mode. So if you press the button now, rather than a ramping UI, in fact, hang on, I've accidentally locked it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not having a good day today, am I? So let's go for 5 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, let's see if I've got it this time. Yeah, that's momentary mode. So, excuse me. So what's happening there is, when you press it, you're getting full turbo. When you let go, it's off. So it's kind of a more tactical. If you shoot, although I wouldn't necessarily use this for shooting, but you know, you can accidentally, and then on off. Handy to have. I wouldn't use this for that sort of thing, but okay, it's nice to have that mode. But to get out of the momentary mode, you have to reset the unit. So the quickest way to do that, you're disengaging the power circuit there, and then you're putting it back on. Bang. You're back in normal, you're back in ramping. Saving you having to do another 5 clicks to go back to normal. Now to factory reset it, I'm not going to go through that. It's 5 million different things. Click here, right, hold, count to 20, you know, spin round in a circle, press it again, you know, recite half of the Bible. It gets ridiculous, so I'm not going to go through that. And there is also, as I mentioned before, if I can find the manual, the advanced mode. Now the problem is, I'm not going to go through this because I want this review to be simple. Why do I want it to be simple? Well, again, I'm not an expert, and the kind of people who need to know that are experts, so there's no point in explaining it. But what it lets you do is it lets you go into fine detail and change every single little level. It's nice to see that, but I'm not going to go into that for this review. So there you go. So we've been over the main points. The only thing I haven't discussed, and I always like to discuss it, and you know it, is the reflector. Now it's pretty big. If you compare that to the C8, which is kind of a cheapy version of this, look, it's a little bit wider, so you can see it's a little bit wider, but other than that, it's very similar. It's obviously a little bit shorter, but I don't think that's the problem of Convoy. The reason it's a bit shorter is because it doesn't have a tail clicker. Tail clickers take up space, so interesting to see. But they've done a good job here. I mean, the whole point of this reflector, I'll quickly go over it because I don't want to annoy people who already know this, but it's a smooth reflector, so you've got your LED, and in general, an LED is poor at directing light. Most LEDs, they're just a little rectangular or square section here, and then they have a little dome of plastic over. And light is, yeah, it's going in that direction, but there's not a lot of control over it, is there? So one way around that is you have your LED and then you put a smooth reflector over it. So instead of light just going like that, you have obviously a spill which comes off. Now I shall show you that. So there's your spill. So your spill is from there to there, this section here, and then you see this hot spot here. This is your spot. This is where the majority of the light's going. So what's happening there is it's bouncing around, and this reflector is sending that to a spot. So it's trying to throw the light. It's giving some direction to the light. It's saying, come on, I want you to go far. Now the only problem with this is, if you try and use this close up, obviously I'll turn it to a sensible level, but obviously up close it's obscuring detail, isn't it? Yeah, you can use that section, but it's a bit annoying. You know, I wouldn't like to have to deal with that, changing a fuse or something. It's obscuring detail. So the way around that is, obviously, you can use something like a orange peel reflector. So can you see how this is not smooth? So what's actually happening here is with an orange peel reflector, or sometimes they call it an OP, your LEDs here, you've got pits and aberrations on the reflector itself, and what this actually does is it still bounces around the same way, and you get spill in a spot. But when you hit the wall, instead of getting this sort of beam profile, it's more like this. It's transitioned. The two zones are transitioned into each other, so it's not as bad. So for example, if I turn this on and I'll turn it up now, even though I've got that at a similar level, can you see how the details are obscured less? So you probably think, well, why don't they all just use OP reflectors? Well, the drawback is you're not able to throw the light as far, but obviously the benefit is it doesn't obscure detail as much. So I generally prefer these for general purpose. It gives you the best of both worlds. You're not going to throw as far, but it's still worth it. And then the far end of that scale, obviously, if you want even more of a uniform spread, is to use a TIR lens, I'll call it, rather than a reflector. So there's your LED, and then over the top you're putting a solid, it's normally a lump of plastic or any medium, it doesn't matter, it's how it's manufactured, and you get, they're called TIR lens. Now TIR stands for total internal reflection. So the light is bouncing around inside within the medium. This isn't an empty space, it's a solid piece of plastic, and then there's very little loss of light actually, and then it comes out as you dictate depending on this surface here. So for example, the far end of the scale would be something like the skill hunt here. Now can you see, now again, the benefits of this are beautiful dispersion of the light at close range. Also, look, you don't need to waste space having a reflector. Obviously the drawbacks are the throw on these are lacking. So yeah, but the way around that is you pump more lumens into the problem, but okay, but I'll give you an example. So there's something of a spot there, but can you see how transition that is? That's quite beautiful up close. Even if I take that up, it's like a turbo, it's still going to be pretty decent. So there's your options. So obviously with this being a beautiful smooth reflector, it's all about throw. That's what this is designed for. It's not necessarily for up close stuff, although you can put it on the lowest setting. Obviously, if we ramp that down, if we ramp that right down, you've got the lowest setting. Now the lowest setting, you're getting a few lumens, and the whole point of that is they call it moon setting. They're trying to replicate moonlight, really. So the whole point of that is you can do stuff without ruining your night vision or alerting other people. It's designed to give you a low level which isn't going to damage your night vision, because for me it normally takes you about 10 minutes to get that back once a bright light hits me at night, and then you can get on with things. So okay, but they've got that setting in there. So let's turn this off and let's discuss it and give it a mark. Right, now I want to compare that to the Convoy C8 Plus. Now why am I comparing them? Because through tests they're very, very similar. Really, this name's a little bit of a, I don't want to say it's a trick because it isn't, but it's a little bit misleading, because for those who have heard of the GT, it's a mega thrower. It really, really throws a lot of light. Now, I know they've used the word mini, but this is nowhere near that. So don't think, well, I'll just get the mini version, it's much cheaper, but you're not going to get anywhere near. You're going to get a similar beam profile and output and range to the Convoy. Now the Convoy is much cheaper, especially if you get it on a special. So the question is, would I spend more? What you're getting? Well, what you're getting is it's shorter because it hasn't got a tail clicker. What else are you getting? You're getting a running light. Do you need that? Probably not. Are you getting extra range? There's maybe a little bit extra range because it's a slightly bigger reflector, but the output's very similar. So no, you're not getting much of a difference, but I will show you in some beam shots. Weight, similar. I would say the build on this is better. I mean, listen, there's not a lot of battery rattle unless you get the angle right. Little bit there. Little bit of battery rattle, whereas on here I don't think, I can never really get a lot of battery rattle out of this, but it feels beautiful, feels solid. I like the knurling, it works well. But is it worth the extra money when you could just get the C8, especially on specials? You can get them extremely cheap. If you're a Lumintop fan, get this. If you're not particularly interested in it and money's an issue, start with this. You're not going to get a lot of issues with it, to be honest. This is just a bump up because you've got more control over the UI and things like that. And it does go slightly further and things like that. But I don't know if it's worth the extra money. But in isolation, by itself, it's certainly a beautiful light, and they've done an excellent job. And I'm a big fan of Lumintop now. I've never had a bad Lumintop. But you've got to, if range and reaching out is a big issue, you might as well just get the Hikelight SC01, because you're getting 2000 lumens, so almost double what you're getting there. Yeah, it uses a bigger battery, but you're getting longer runtime, and this is really going to reach a lot further. I'll show you in some beam shots just so you can make up your own mind, but that would be something I think you should think about. So marks out of 10, right? In isolation and marking it for what it does and how it does it, it does a beautiful job. I'm going to give this a 9. I think it deserves it. You've got everything. I've got nothing to complain about. It's perfect for its design and intended purpose. Is it better than this? Slightly. It's slightly better than the Convoy, but it's certainly not a 10. It's not doing anything, mind-explodingly fantastic, put it that way, but it does a nice job. I've got no complaints, other than I would probably change the UI myself, because that strobe thing's a nightmare, but okay, that's a personal preference. And you've got the two, you can either go for the neutral white, which I've done, or you can go for the cool white if that's what you prefer. So it's nice to have those options, unlike some of the manufacturers like Olight, where they force you to get a cool white and things like that. I find that a little bit annoying, but I understand why they do that. Some manufacturers like that, they take the Apple approach, where they tell the customer what they want rather than letting the customer make up their own mind. So that's a business choice, but Lumintop have given you the option there. Nice to see, I appreciate that. So that's enough of me waffling. I've given it a 9 out of 10, which is extremely good. Build's lovely, but it's enough waffling, and let's get out and do some beam shots.